This was last summer, so I've just walked into my local library and I'm about to do some work on my iPad. I go to the spot where I usually sit at. It's one of these 3 round tables, so that's where I normally sit. But I saw that there's one person at every single one of them. And it's like, technically there's 2 seats on each table, but nobody really sits with each other. It's kind of awkward, and it's like there's more than enough space around. So I'm about to turn around, go look for another seat. But then I realized I've been working on my social skills for about a year now. And I don't know why, but I had this like weird feeling of like uncomfortableness or discomfort while I was walking away, because it didn't feel natural for me to walk away from a social situation like that. Like me from a few years ago, sure, he was kind of socially awkward, but now I've been working on my social skills for a year. I know how to speak to people. So I look back towards the 3 tables, seeing what my options are, and on the left table you've got like some middle-aged guy who's reading like a newspaper. On the middle table you've got like some girl, she looked like around our age, maybe a little older, and on the right you saw like some crackhead where he was like fucking muttering to himself. So I knew I wasn't going to be sitting there. It was between the middle-aged guy and this girl that was near our age. And it's like, I'll be real, I found the girl kind of pretty, so I took my stuff, asked her like, oh, is it fine if I sit here? And then I just set myself down. I take my iPad out, I'm working on a video script, so something like this I was working on, and I'm kind of just like looking up from my iPad naturally at her, like, you know, just like normal eye contact, not in like a fucking weird way. I don't know why, but it just felt like so awkward to say something. Normally I'm good at this. Like normally whenever there's someone there and I want to speak to them, I just open my mouth and like the conversation flows quite naturally. But for some reason I couldn't like open my mouth. So now I'm still working on my iPad. 30 minutes have passed and I still haven't said anything. And it's like I'm trying to concentrate on my work. I'm staring at my iPad, but in my mind there's just, oh, what should I say? Should I talk to her? It's like all these things. So I'm looking at my iPad, but I'm not actually getting any work done. But suddenly out of nowhere, I hear her ask, oh, how's the video coming along? And you can imagine like my eyes genuinely like shot up straight at her, because I'm thinking like, first of all, why have you spoken like so out of nowhere? Second of all, how the hell do you know what I'm working on? And like I'm starting to smile now. I'm about to ask her, and then I see where her hand is. Her hand is holding up her phone, and she wasn't asking me, she was on the phone to someone. So I look back at my iPad, pretend I didn't actually look at her, like pretend nothing happened. And she's still having a conversation. It's not that I'm trying to be intrusive and I'm like trying to fucking listen to what she's saying, but the live is dead silent. She's the only one talking, so naturally I heard. And she's talking about like, oh yeah, we should be ready for the Instagram video this week. When I first sat down with her, she had like her laptop out, she had some papers out, and I was just assuming that, oh, she's around our age, she's probably in university, she's probably just studying. But from what she's saying now, I'm a lot more intrigued. Because she's talking about Instagram posts, videos, deadlines, like she's saying when she needs to get a video done by. This doesn't sound like uni work. And it's like, if I couldn't focus before, you can imagine now not only do I find it pretty as fuck, I want to know what she's working on. A few minutes later, she finishes the call, the library's gone silent again, and it takes me a minute, but I finally like build up the courage to open my mouth. I asked her like, oh, I appreciate this is a bit random, but bear in mind, I've been sitting with her for half an hour and I haven't said anything, so it probably took her a second to process it. She's telling me that, oh, she's just on the phone with some work people, like she's talking to her colleagues and stuff, and it was honestly a bit of a vague answer, a bit like surface level. So I asked her like, oh, what do you do for work? Like what sort of work do you do? And I'm so glad I asked her that question, because genuinely I wish I could see myself when she answered. My eyes probably like glowed up. She told me she works in a travel agency, right? And what she does is she manages the social media video content for them. And you can imagine all my life what I do for work is like freelance video editing. So I'm sitting at home working on like my own brand in order to get my own clients. I've never worked under like, oh, some huge company which gets me clients. And she's the first person that I've seen like proper like IRL that she's in the same industry, but she's gone about her career in such a different way to me. So I'm asking her all these questions like, oh, how did you get into it? How do you find it? And she was telling me about how she came from Canada. So her company's based in Canada and she flew here just like for a work trip. Now the conversation's gone on for about an hour. She's like really receptive now. The conversation's flowing well, and it started off about work, but now it's become a lot more like just personal. Like we connected really well. She's literally telling me about her childhood and how she got to where she is now, her life goals, her plans. And by the end of it, we're literally talking about like, oh, when you're older, like how would you raise your kids? Like would you want it this way? Would you want them wholesale? And it's like there were so many topics which we covered, and it was just such a beautiful connection. And it's like, honestly, I was kind of just like laughing at myself at that point, because it took me half an hour to even open my mouth. But genuinely, now that we're speaking, it's like she's genuinely a sound girl. We've been speaking for so long that literally it's 6 p.m. now and the library is closing, and we're kind of just getting everyone to leave, and I'm telling her like, okay, I've literally gotten no work done. I'm really glad we had this conversation, but I'm gonna go to a cafe and I'm just gonna work in there. So we're kind of just saying bye, like we go for the hug and stuff, and we basically, I think we had like a mutual agreement that we were probably never gonna see each other again. Like we both had that mutual understanding. So now I'm walking away, I'm literally leaving the doors out of the library, and I kind of just hear like someone's rucksack like jumping up and down. I hear someone's footsteps running towards me and then tapping me on the shoulder, and it was her asking if she could tag along. And I was telling her like, oh, I really want to get work done. If you're gonna come with me, I'm not gonna be able to like talk to you much. And she's literally just there like, oh yeah, it's fine. I literally just want to sit with you. Like I just want to chill. And in my head, genuinely, I really wanted to chill with her. Like she was actually like a really nice girl. But I really wanted to also get my work done. I didn't want to fall behind. So I tell her like, in my head, I'm fucking buzzing, but I'm acting all composed, saying like, oh yeah, sure, just come. You can sit with me. We ended up spending literally like the entire evening together. We went out and got food. We had like another few really good conversations, and I actually got work done this time. And it's like naturally within our conversations, I'm kind of just speaking about the stuff that I do. So the journey that I've been on. So last few years editing like fucking Fortnite videos. I tell her I used to be embarrassed about telling people I used to edit Fortnite videos, but now that I think about it, the more I think about it, it's like those were my roots. Like the reason I'm where I am today is because I edited those Fortnite videos for literally like $10 a video. So I'm telling her how I started, what I do now, people I work with, and I explained to her how I help other video editors as well. And it's like, I'm not someone that likes talking about my work in person much. Like I talk about it online, of course, because this is part of my work. But when it comes to in-person conversations, I try not to bring out too much. Not because I'm embarrassed of it, but genuinely it's like most people don't give a shit. Most people can't relate to work like this. So I was kind of just like giving her like little snippets of information. But what I found was she was the one that was like encouraging me to talk more about it. Like I'd show who I'm working with, I'd show what I'm building, I'd show like the impact we're having with what we teach, and she's the one like proper gassing me up. Like she's telling me like, oh, tell me more, and like she's asking proper like in-depth questions about it. And it's like, this is probably the first time, I'll be honest, where someone I just met, it was the first time that I felt they were genuinely interested in my work. And what this whole experience really taught me was, if you want people to be interested in you, you need to be first interested in them. Because you can imagine, she probably wouldn't have come with me, she probably wouldn't have like cared about my work, asked about what I did and stuff, if I wasn't the first person to say like, oh, what do you do for work, and then continue to ask questions about that. If you want to build genuinely like meaningful connections with people, you need to like almost have a childlike mind where you're constantly just learning about this other person. You go into this conversation appreciating the fact that this person has so many stories to tell, so many opinions and views that you could both discuss. And when you become genuinely interested in that person's like viewpoint and their perspective and their opinions, they end up caring a lot more about yours as well. And in a weird way, what I found is video editing clients work the exact same way. Because think about it, right? At the end of the day, we talk about clients and stuff, we talk about YouTubers and everything, but at the end of the day, before creators, they're just people. So all these like social skills, these techniques we get to know other people, they work the exact same way as someone on the street versus a YouTube creator. They're still people at the end of the day. And what I'm about to say genuinely is going to sound so harsh and it's going to piss quite a few people off. But honestly, I'm just going to say it because it's something I found that I think you would really benefit from. Literally, probably like 80% of editors that I see these days, they don't even deserve clients. Like they've come into our space and they're thinking like, oh, I can make some money, which making money isn't bad on its own, but they kind of approach it in such like a predatory way. Like they'll ask around, oh, how can I get clients? Oh, how can I make more money editing? How can I raise my prices? But very rarely do I hear someone saying, how do I meet deadlines? How do I work faster? How do I make my actual editing better? How can I make my client experience better through communication? All of these skills, these are the ones that like kind of show you care about your clients. And I've found this very like distinct difference between these two groups of editors. The literally majority of editors who don't care, all they talk about is how can I make like 500 more pounds a month. It's like that's all they care about. Whereas with us, it's like our group of editors, we not only want to make a lot of money, don't get me wrong, making money is amazing, but we actually care about our clients. Because with most editors, literally what they're trying to do, they are trying to come into the editing space, do the least work and make the most money from it. They've literally known Premiere Pro for about 2 months and they're thinking, how can I make more money? And this is so stupid. Wait, let me tell you boys about what I saw in like a Discord, right? So I popped in one of these like Discord chats and I saw people were talking about like prices and clients and stuff. And someone said, this was in the middle of a conversation, they were saying that I've never had a client, but I refuse to take someone on for less than $100. And it's like, it kind of makes sense. It's like, oh, you should be paid for what your time is worth, and it's like all these things. But do you just see how he doesn't care about whether his work is good or not? Because if your work is good, you would have already had clients already. I'm sorry, but if you have never had a client, if you've never had anyone reach out to you for work, it just means your editing is shit. That's not me trying to be rude, it's just how it is. So we already know this guy's work isn't the best so far. He's never had clients. But how can you, in that position, have the ego to say, I refuse to take anyone on under $100? You can tell that this guy, he sees creators, he sees clients as these like quick cash grabs, as these quick like ways to make passive income, quick money and stuff. Like he doesn't see them as another business that he's gonna be contributing and adding value to. Because the way our world works in the capitalist society that we live in, whether you think it's right or not, I don't give a shit, but it's how we live. If you give value to the marketplace, you will be given money back. But what this guy is trying to say is that I want people to give me money and I will give some value back, but I don't know what value I give because I've never worked with any clients before. It's like, just give me money first, then I'll give value. That's not how our society runs. You make the value first, you get the work done first, you become a good editor first, you become an asset in people's businesses first, and then people will pay you for it. Because what you'll find in literally every single like top 1% editor, these guys that are genuinely working with the largest creators in the world, these are the guys that give the most shits about their clients. These are the guys that when they get a client project, okay, they charge a lot, but even for what they're charging, they put in such a ridiculous amount of hours and like meticulous care for how the video comes out. You will know whether someone cares about their clients or not by just the attention to detail that they put in their video. Because the average editor, what he does is he'll see a small mistake in a video that he made. He'll make an animation and it'll be slightly choppy. And what he'll do is say, you know what, it's good enough. I'm sure the client won't mind. And honestly, the client probably won't realize. So he sends it off. The client says, wow, well done, thank you, gives you the money, and he goes on to the next client. But what these top editors do is when they see that there's this slight like bump in the curve that messes up the animation, it's not that visible, but that editor knows that he could do better. Even though he knows that if he just left it how it is, nobody would know, he still goes out of his way to make it perfect. This isn't me saying that, oh, never do anything unless it's like absolutely perfect first time. It's like, that's not what I'm saying. Of course, you get better over time, but do it to the best of your ability. You should never give in a piece of work which you know isn't at least up to standard with what you usually give your clients. You should genuinely feel as though you are getting underpaid for your work. You should be putting so many hours into your projects, especially if you're starting out. Like, this is so ridiculous. There's so many editors starting out now where they put in so little hours, but then the editing that they give in is so shit. So it's like they're trying to maximize their hourly rate, and it's like, but I refuse to work under minimum wage. It's like, you dumbass. The skills that you have right now, they don't deserve minimum wage. The value that you give to the marketplace, with all due respect, is extremely little because you're just starting out, and that's okay. It's normal that you start out and you're not that valuable. It's normal. Like, you're not going to be worth as much when you start out. That's not rude, that's just how it works. But when you do try to do that thing of like, oh, I'm only going to spend 4 hours on this video and I need to rush it because I can't focus on details because then my hourly rate will go down. It's like the way you charge more long term, the way you build good relationships, the way you get known in the community, the way you improve your own editing, it is by working ridiculously under minimum wage for just a little while. I promise you, even when I was working at like $300, $400, so quite a while ago per video, so $300-$400 per video, some of you might look at that and think that's a lot. Like, you're thinking, oh, $300 a video, like people in my country don't even make that a month. It's like, you might think that's a lot, but I promise you, for the amount of time and energy and effort that I put into those videos, I probably was barely scraping minimum wage. I want you to think about that. I was probably making like 1, 2, 3K a month, which is okay for when I was 17, about a year ago. And I was putting in so many hours that despite that, I was still getting paid near minimum wage. And for a normal person, they might look at that. In fact, they might think I'm quite stupid. They might think I'm a retard for that. Like, why would you work for so little when you can get it done faster? But what they don't see, and what the top editors do see, is that the work you put in today, it pays off with your next client. Because when you put a disproportionate amount of time into one edit, that gives you the opportunity to put it on your portfolio. And what does that mean? You attract other creators and they're willing to pay $50 more than you usually charge. The way you go up the client ladder is by over-delivering every single time. And this applies to even trial work. This applies to practice work. So many editors, they haven't got any clients yet. They need to get work onto their portfolio. So they take on a trial project. They take on a practice video. They download something and they re-edit it. And they try a bit, but they don't really put their all in because they're thinking, I'm not getting paid for this. Like, why would I put any effort in? But what they don't see is that in order for them to achieve their long-term goal of getting paid clients, they need to treat this video as if it's a paid video. Because if you are trying to attract paying clients, what type of work are they looking for on your portfolio? Is it going to be free quality work, or is it going to be paid quality work? When you do put in that disproportionate amount of time up front, it ends up paying off so much in a few months from now. For context, right now, I charge anywhere between like £800-900 a video to about 1,500, 2,000. And the only reason I'm able to charge that might sound insane to a lot of people. Honestly, even to me today, that sounds insane to me. Like, these are the same videos I was charging $100 for. The way I got here is literally by charging quite a bit. So charging what everyone else charges and then putting in maybe double, triple the hours of actual work into their video. Spending a disproportionate amount of time on every single one of your videos, making sure you're over delivering every single time is just one of the ways that you show you care about your clients. Because it's not about you saying like, oh, I love my clients, oh, I really like these guys, oh, I care about them. You actually need to show it. Because imagine yourself right now, you've got two paths. You've got the one where you kind of just like skim past like all the clients, you handle all your clients, but you never truly over deliver on these clients. They've got like a couple 100k subs, they're paying like $100 a video, $200 a video, they're okay. Versus another version of you, the better version of you, actually over delivers. And in 6 to 12 months from now, you're working with guys with 5-10 million subscribers. These are the guys paying you not only for the video, they're paying you so much for the video right now. They're paying $500-600 per video, and then they give you bonuses, and then they give you lenient deadlines, and they genuinely feel more like a friend than a working relationship. How awesome would that be? You literally sit at your PC, you're talking to this guy, you're working in the video, and you don't hate it. You genuinely, it feels like fun to you. When you treat clients as the people that they are, like we said, for them to be interested in you, for them to want to pay you, you need to be interested in them. You need to care about them. So it's like when you do that, you find your editing career, it becomes easy. While most people struggle with clients, you're here with more people reaching out to you than you know what to do with. Because let's keep it real, most editors never actually make anything out of their career. For most editors, it's like they start as a hobby, like most editors do. Even I started as a hobby, editing like Fortnite videos, and they're working, they see other people making some money, they start charging like 10, 15, 20 bucks a video, 50 bucks a video. They slowly are working on increasing their pay, they're increasing their prices, getting their work a little bit better, and it's like they're technically doing everything right, but they still end up quitting in a year or two. The sad part is they didn't quit because they wanted to, but because they were never able to actually make anything from it. They spend all those hours sitting on their PC, working, thinking that they're doing well. They make a couple $100 here and there, and they know they can scale, but they never end up doing it. So other commitments come up, they gotta go uni, school's getting in the way, parents are forcing them to get another real job because editing doesn't look too hopeful right now. It's like all their circumstances go against them. And honestly, it's so sad to see, because that could have been me in like another reality. I sit here, honestly, I'm in such a, I think part of it's luck, part of it's work, but I'm lucky enough to say this is what I do full time. I could literally edit 2 videos a month, like literally just 2 10-15 minute videos a month, and I would be making more than most adults. I don't need to go university because I was able to make this a proper thing, like my main thing. I don't need to look at my bank account before buying stuff. I'm not some like hedonistic, like materialistic type guy. I don't spend crazy money, but things like going out to eat, things like buying like a new pair of shoes if like my old ones like got ripped up or something, buying like a coffee just because like it's only a couple quid, being able to do all these things and doing it for other people, that's the exact same opportunity that you have right now. Because you might not realize it, but you just getting into editing, you literally opening an editing software and being able to like import clip, cut clip, that puts you ahead of literally like 80% of the population. Most people don't even know how to like use basic Premiere, basic like editing software. You're already most of the way there. All you need to do now is learn more of like the business skills, the life skills where it complements the business. You need to learn, okay, where do I put my focus? How do I communicate like this? How do I spend my money so that I can make the most progress within the business? How do I manage my time? How do I do all these things? That is what you need now. Because if you are being completely honest with yourself, there's probably been a point in your career or your time editing where you said, oh, I do it as a hobby, but it would be nice if I did it as a side thing. But I just want to keep it as a side thing, like a side hustle, just a bit of money here and there. The problem is, if we were being completely honest with ourselves, if you genuinely, like, you don't need to tell anyone like this or whatever, but if you just sat with yourself for a minute and you told yourself, if I was given the opportunity to edit videos for literally thousands and thousands a month from the comfort of my home, from my bedroom, the same PC that I always like sat at, if I had someone give me that opportunity, I would probably take it. So really ask yourself, is the reason that you're saying, oh, I just want to keep it as a side thing, just a side hustle, innit? Are you saying that because you actually want it as a side hustle? Or is it more likely, which I've found is in most people after I ask this question, is it that you're scared it's not going to work? Is it that you're scared that it is going to be kind of hard to do? Are you scared that maybe it doesn't work out? Because honestly, for me, it was. I used to say I'll keep it as a side hobby. I was making 800 a month a year or two ago, and I was thinking like, oh, this is nice. This is just, I'll keep it as a side thing. But when I really sat down with myself, I realized if I was given the opportunity, if I could not go uni for this, if I could not have to work a real job for this, if I could make literally more than my parents combined from this, I would take that opportunity literally in a heartbeat. You have the exact same opportunity that I did. If you honestly like bitch out, if you set yourself this like tiny ass goal of saying I just want to keep it as a side hobby, as a side income, like a hobby or whatever, you're probably not even gonna make like a K a month. You're probably not even gonna get any clients, because the thing is, it's normal for you to not meet your goal. Like, we set goals, we meet some, we don't meet some. That's completely normal. But then when you set yourself such a tiny goal, more likely than not, you're not gonna achieve it. It's normal, like, to be under your goal. You're probably gonna achieve literally nothing. But second of all, even if you do achieve it by God's grace, like you somehow find the motivation to actually work towards a goal as small as that, it's not exactly that fulfilling. Like, you're gonna be working anyways. I promise you, this is something someone said to me like years ago, and I never understood it until recently. The time it takes to work a normal job is the exact same time it takes to build like a 10k per month business. You're working the same hours, the same amount of stress, it's the same amount of work you put in. The only difference is the time frame that you need to think in. Because you're taking up editing, and honestly, it's probably like to get away from like a normal job. Let's say you work a normal job, you come in and your salary is going to be 1k a month, and every single month, literally from month one that you start working, you make 1k a month. The way that business is different, what makes it different to a normal job, is that at first you're going to be putting the same hours in as like a normal job. You're going to be working however many hours a day, hours per week, but you're not going to see results straight away. Your first month, you genuinely might make like literally jack shit. You might make zero, and then the next month you might make $15, but the next month you make zero again, but the next month you make 40, and then the next month you might make 100, and you're literally working the same amount of hours, you're doing the same amount of like work as someone making 1k a month. And it's like, you might get pissed off, you're like, fuck this editing shit. It's like, I'm going back to a normal job. Like, this is stupid. Malice lied to me. Like, editors don't actually make this money. It's like, he lied. Like, look, I've done so many months and I haven't made a lot of money from it. But what you'll find in business is that it's exponential. You might make literally near nothing for a while, but when you make money, you make a shit ton of it. One month you'll make 200, but the next you make 500, then 1.5k, then you get another good client and it's 3k, and then suddenly you pick up just one more client, you drop another few, you learn how to communicate and stuff, and you're on 7k, and then 9k, and then you have a really good month, you're on like 12k a month. Sure, it took us a little bit longer to get there. It took us like 6 months, 12 months to get there, whereas the other guy got to his maximum earning potential literally on day one. Like, he got in the job and he made money straight away. But the problem is, he doesn't have as much earning capacity, earning potential as a business. Because the way I see it is, if I'm going to put in extra work, if I'm going to make the right decisions, if I'm going to like do my best and bring results, I believe that I should get paid for that. In a normal job, let's say you're stacking shelves, right? If you stack the shelves twice as fast, if you get the shelves like perfectly aligned and everything, all the boxes perfect, you don't get paid any extra for that. Sure, you might get like a $200 bonus at the end of the month, but you don't get paid much for it. But in business, what happens is that when you do align those boxes properly, when you make sure everything looks perfect, do it twice as fast, you get paid for that. If you work twice as fast, you will make twice the income that you currently are. If you are 2 times better than your competition, you will get paid not even 2 times more. You will get paid probably more like 100 times more than someone you're twice as good at. In business, your work is actually rewarded. In a normal job, honestly, you're paid for just being there. You're just another human that they have on the assembly line. If they wanted to fire you, they would find another motherfucker like you to replace you within 2 days. And I don't mean this to be harsh. All I'm saying is that you have a lot more potential than you think. Tell 16-year-old me that I would be doing what I am doing today, I wouldn't believe you. You right now, you have no fucking idea how much you could be making. The problem is, when you set yourself small goals, you pretty much ensure that you're never gonna make it. You ensure that you're gonna end up like every other editor that quits after a couple of years. And I've made it my mission to help editors like you do that. I find it so fulfilling to know that I've done something, I've achieved something, and I'm continuing to grow in editing as well. Don't get me wrong, like, I genuinely want to be making like 15 to 20k a month, and I've made it my mission to help editors like you do exactly what I've done, because genuinely I find it so fulfilling to know that I've achieved something for myself. I've been working for the last 2-3 years consistently, and I've built up a decent amount, and I find it beautiful that I'm able to help other guys just like me achieve the same thing. Don't get me wrong, I'm still learning, I'm still a work in progress. I have my own editing career that I'm continuing to build. I want to get my shit genuinely to like 15, 20k a month. But even from what I have achieved, I've had like 8, 9, 10k months, like several of them in editing. And I know there's a lot of editors that could benefit from learning from what I have to teach. So if you are one of those editors, I'd love to have you join us. If you scroll down right now, there's a Discord server you can join. It's basically editors just like you. We're all on the same path, same mission. You can just meet other editors, super ambitious guys who are on the same path as you. Also, click the red subscribe button and then go watch this video right here. I think you'll find it useful. Peace.